All right, I see we're rolling. And welcome to another broadcast episode of The Two Crazy Guys. We are indeed crazy. There's not that. I don't know. Anyway, Big D, rocking you. And we're coming to you from Southeast Arizona. You're locked on to KYAH 540 AM and Contra Radio Network. My name is Big D, and I have prepper guy Mark Boyle. He's hot on the line. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. We're coming from some undisclosed bunker in Southeast
That's
Arizona.
right. And pretty soon we'll have a mobile bunker too.
That's right. See them windows in the background, they're just video monitors. I'm underground, really.
It's fake. It's just fake.
It's all subterfuge, my
So
friend.
how we doing today? I don't know what we're going to talk about because I did absolutely zero show prep. In fact, I didn't even get a podcast out last week, my own podcast, because we had been busy looking at mobile command centers, and we did find a mobile command center, and we are going to pick that thing up this weekend. So not only will we be locked and loaded in the underground bunker in an undisclosed location, but we'll also be able to broadcast from when we bug out in the mobile command center.
There you go.
So,
Well,
go ahead.
I saw that video you posted. That's pretty sick looking thing there.
Yeah, we're very, very excited about that. Of course, I'm going to have to keep a low profile. You know how that goes, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Yeah, you
The
don't want
haters
to.
are out there, brother.
Huh?
And you know what? If you don't have haters, it's because you're not doing it right.
That's right. My goal is to have everyone hate me.
So
that would mean I'm doing it 100% right. Well, I did do a couple podcasts this week. We can chat about that.
I saw them uploaded. I didn't get a chance to check them out thoroughly, but I did see them. I got notifications that they went out, so your notifications are working.
That's always nice.
Yeah,
I love it when the magic.
So I don't know. I don't know what's going on in the news.
Well,
I
if
know
you watch
that,
the news, nothing's going on.
I know that everyone's on break right now, so there's not a lot of talk about impeachment.
Oh, thank God Congress is on break, so maybe we can fix the country while they're gone.
I know what we can talk about.
Awesome.
Something just popped in my mind. Universal Pictures is getting ready to release a new movie.
I saw that.
The movie it depicts murders of deplorables, Trump supporters. It depicts people with guns going out and hunting down and killing Trump supporters.
Yep.
This, ladies and gentlemen, from the very group of people that tell you that right-wingers are evil, hatred, homophobic bigots full of hate and agony, and yet they're going to produce a movie depicting people hunting down and killing Trump supporters with weapons.
I know it's almost like the religion of peace, to where they say we're about peace, but we'll cut your head off if you don't agree with us. And I watched the trailer. Actually, I saw that come through my feed, and I was like, I got to watch this, because I'm a free speech kind of guy. Make whatever stupid movie you want. And watching the trailer, it seems like one of the people that get kidnapped. It's almost like that movie No Escape, or something like that, to where had Ice-T in it, and they pick him up as a homeless guy, and they take him to a cabin, and they tell him he's got a job, and then the next morning they give him like a 10-minute head start, and then they hunt him, and he ends up killing all the bad guys, which is like awesome. So I think this movie seems to be the same lines, to where they catch 10 deplorables, and then they drop them off in a field, and then they hunt him down. Well, one of the girls, I guess, figures it out and kills them all. So it's like, well, it's just another movie, except it's depicted that the bad guys are the Trump supporters and the good guys are the I don't know, the liberals. So I don't know. I thought, well, I'll probably watch it when it comes out on Netflix because I'll watch anything. So I'm thinking, I'm watching this movie wondering, or this trailer, wondering, well, I guess it's like any other movie. You got a bunch of crazy people and then the good people survive and the bad people die. I think they have it twisted a little bit to where the good ones are really not so good and the bad ones are not so good, or however you look at that.
Well, here's my thing, Mark, is that I probably won't watch it because I won't give Hollywood any money. That's just me. I don't watch movie. I don't subscribe to the pay-per-view channels. I watch very, very little as far as Hollywood produced stuff, as little as I can. Yeah, there's things that I'll watch from time to time, but it's as minimal as possible. And this whole thing that, we are depicted, we, the Trump supporters, are depicted as the haters. And then you have Hollywood producers coming out and producing this hatred beyond belief.
Yeah.
Hypocrite much?
Well, and that's the thing. Like, I'm with you. The last movie I think I watched that was Hollywood produced was I, Robot, because I'm an Isaac Asimov fan. And then we watched the one with Dinesh D'Souza put out about.
I like Dinesh D'Souza.
Yeah, but when they come on for free, well, then I'll watch them. And I guess they're trying to, now they're Hollywood saying, well, it's satire, which it's not.
No, it's not.
And then they said, well, it's kind of like The Purge. And it's like, okay, but as usual, they always twist the logic to where if you're a conservative, you need to die. And so,
that's what it is.
Yeah.
That's what it is. It's all about, killing off conservatives.
Yeah.
But this from the people who want to take guns away from everybody.
Yeah. That's the hypocrisy of it all. It's like we are so bad because we believe in the Second Amendment and free speech, and we're willing to die for their right to free speech. But we just want our Second Amendment. And then they say we're awful and they can kill us using guns. I don't get it. But then it is Hollywood. There's not much to get. I mean, they came out with the Zombieland too. I mean, so we're not talking about, the cream of the crop out there in Hollywood anymore. I mean, they have to remake every cartoon. I'm surprised they haven't come out with a Gilligan's Island movie because they just can't.
They did.
Yeah, but I mean, like, a new big Hollywood, special
effects. Like a blockbuster type thing, yeah.
Yeah. No, it was kind of like a B movie, for TV.
Yeah.
But so if nobody can write anything in Hollywood, then I guess that's what they're left with.
It's just blown my mind that, this all this hypocrisy and all this garbage and all this nonsense about guns and right-wingers and all this other stuff, and then they come out with this garbage that is the very epitome of what it is that they hate. It's kind of like Bernie Sanders. Yeah. Bernie Sanders running on a platform basically trying to get rid of the very system that made him wealthy.
Yeah. Well, and I guess that's how democracies work. It's mob rule, and if you have nice hair or you present your message or a good hook, everyone votes for you, and then you just take all their money, just like what's been going on in Mexico for 100 years. Just
I don't know, man.
Yeah,
it's really, I find it so funny that these people they want to implement stuff that has already proven to be failed to be a failure. Bernie Sanders and the Healthcare for All and Medicare for All program that failed miserably in Vermont, but he seems to think he's going to make it work in the whole country. They're campaigning on a socialist platform, which is the very opposite of the capitalistic system that got each and every one of them where they are today.
Right, but the problem with capitalism is Republicans, I guess, or libertarians, or free market people have not defended it good enough throughout history. They've allowed it to be marginalized, but
apparently, yeah.
Well, and we could talk about the economy because it's as good as it looks. It is in free fall.
Sure.
And you know the 10-year bond is lower than the Fed 30-day one, which is I think never happened. So there's plenty to talk about. But I watched the previews and naturally or the trailer, and it looks like the one good girl that kills all the crazies trying to kill all the conservatives. Looks like she's being arrested at the end. So, but these are the elites. These are people with lots and lots of money.
Mm-hmm.
And they are the ones that have $1 million bunkers in Beverly Hills and in Oregon and stuff. So I wouldn't put it past them to put together some little game like that. I guess you could call it. So I think they've worded it in a way where they've removed 90% of America, and they just said these elite rich people want to kill these, conservatives. Right. So you do have a bad guy you can differentiate between, but I haven't figured it out yet. I haven't read any more reviews on it. I don't even know if it's out yet. Is it?
I don't think it is. I don't know. I just know I saw a little snippets of it here and there, and it blew my mind that it's even being processed. And so, folks, I don't know, man. We're gonna have to take a break, and we're gonna have to come back after the break. So stick around and don't go away. We'll be back right after this.
Hey, you caught me bugging out of the area because of a critical incident. Luckily, I know what to do and I know where I'm going. Thanks to the Contra radio network. I listen to these guys. They give me crucial information on what to do when a critical crisis happens. So, what about you? Do you guys listen to the Contra radio network?
Alrighty, welcome back to the second segment of today's program. In the first segment, we talked about the new movie that has...
I just said number 2.
Oh, number 2. Hi, number 2. You are number 2. We talked about the movie real quick. That brings to mind, we've got a couple of gun grabs that took place here. And that's what I call these mass shootings, Mark, is I call them gun grabs because that's what they are. They're there. All they are is their ploys to push the agenda that we need to get rid of guns. And let me make no mistake about it, people. Whenever you hear politicians talking about gun control or gun control reform or any wording of the such, what they're basically saying is they want to confiscate your firearms. And let me tell you something. They're not talking about the evil fully automatic assault weapons. That's not what they're talking about. Of course, that's what they're saying they're talking about, but that just opens the door for them to be able to slide in and get the full Monty.
Right. It's they always use the word dog whistle. When you hear them, talking about mass shooting, it's a dog whistle for captivity. Yeah. They want us to submit, and They can't do that until they take our guns. So this, red flags and all that are really just dog whistles for the Democrats to just go, hey, let's grab some more guns.
Yeah, that's what. So this. Let's go back to the movie, because the movie coming out, basically, all right. So I know Trump caught a lot of flack from the left wing wackos, because he made the comment about the video games. The video games where you've got the kids out there being snipers and shooting up their schools and all of that stuff. And he was absolutely right.
Right.
He was absolutely right. Now, I know the liberal wackos are out there and they're saying, oh, well, I've been playing those video games all my life and I never once have had the thought occur to me to go out and shoot up a school. No, you may not have. But who's to say that, one of these guys that in this recent gun grab, that's what it is, didn't play those games and didn't plot his story with that. And so that's what Trump is trying to say. And it's true. And now you've got these movies coming out.
Right.
You know, we've already got one of these guys tied to Antifa.
Yeah, the one guy they're saying this would be the first mass shooting by Antifa. Then,
And so, you know, they've got this whole thing that, the whole prerogative is that it's okay to kill, you know, people because we've got Hollywood promoting it with movies. We've got, you know, the game industry promoting it with all these games about violence and shooting things up, you know, and you wonder why the heck people are flipping their lids.
yeah. Well, what I think is always hypocritical and almost in a sense humorous, like Trump will say these video games are getting people kind of conditioned to kill people and shoot up schools. And then the Dems will say, well, I played games like you were saying my whole life and I don't want to do that. Well, I've shot guns my whole life and I don't want to go out and kill people either.
Right.
It seems to be an excuse for them. But then when most 99.99999% gun owners could use that same excuse and go, hey, I've never even thought about shooting anyone.
Well, when I was a kid, we all had gun racks in our pickup trucks, you know, in the back window, and I had guns in there loaded.
Right. And you could take them to school, lock up your truck, no one broke out your window and stole your guns.
No.
And you never look at that Texas shooting years and years and years ago where some of the students actually got their guns out of their trucks and went up on the tower and were able to shoot the bad guy. So it can be used either way, but it's a dog whistle for them now, you know. Mass shootings are like crack to Democrats.
Yeah. It's just the thought never occurred to me one time to ever take a gun out of a rack and go shoot up the school.
Yeah. Or
you know why?
anybody.
Do you know why? Because I knew that if I did something like that, I would go home and I'd get the ass beating of a lifetime.
Yeah. And then
I was petrified out of respect. I was petrified of my parents.
Yeah, you wouldn't take your gun into school or even show and tell.
Let me tell you something. The first time I ever spouted off at my mom, or especially my dad, but my mom, oh my God, I got a fist down my throat, man. Yeah. Now you can't discipline the kids. Susie goes to school and Daddy beat me yesterday. I got home and I got a spanking from my daddy. And then what happens? CPS shows up at the door.
Yep. And you know, it's just, well, it's the meltdown of society. And you know, like we were talking earlier, you know, with this movie, and you know what? I'm kind of one of them sick, twisted people. It's like, you know, if the Democrats want a revolution and everyone talks about a revolution, are we going to sit around and just keep turning the heat down? If this movie triggers a bunch of Antifa people to start a revolution, let's do it. Because otherwise, we're just like the frog in boiling water.
Well, let me tell you something,
the heat
brother.
keeps going up and up and up until it's too late to jump out.
Let me tell you something, brother. I'm waiting.
Yeah. Well, that's the problem. We're all waiting.
In fact, I'm waiting with open arms.
Yeah. I hate the thought of revolution because I know it will destroy America. And for it to ever rebuild would be just a freaking miracle. But if we continue to not...
I don't ever see it rebuilding.
Yeah. But to continue to not take action, and I'm not saying we have to, you know, shoot up the country, but if we don't get this show on the road, it will be too late. We will have just signed away all of our rights, our freedoms, our liberties. And then when we do get pissed off, you won't have any guns, you won't have the ability. And that's what started the first revolution in 1776, was gun confiscation. And it wasn't taxes, it wasn't the Tea Party, it was gun confiscation and a standing army, you know, because England kept sending in more and more troops to where they knew if they had
representation.
Yeah. So when they got pissed, it was because England was trying to take their gunpowder, their balls, the trigger mechanisms from their armories, and they had a standing army, and that's what caused everyone to get pissed off. here now we're all just thinking, well, the price of tea isn't that bad. I guess we won't have a revolution. It's coming to a tipping point.
Well, history does have a habit of repeating itself. So,
well, yeah, it just the outcome is usually what doesn't get repeated so well.
That's right. Yeah.
And to have a constitutional, republic the way we have in America, that was just pure genius. And if the wrong side wins, we will become socialist or communist. And even if the good side wins, people are so dumbed down and uneducated, we would turn around and reconstitute the Constitution in a worse way than we have it now.
Right.
Because we have politicians that think standing armies is great. We have leaders that think that the president is commander-in-chief when he's not, and tell the Congress. So that we've already allowed so much to slip away that if there's a revolution, the outcome isn't gonna be anything that we want anyway. So I guess just viva la revolution.
Nothing good could come of it, that's for sure.
Right. It would almost be like the French Revolution, during the same period, 1776, when we were doing it one way. They did it a different way, and their revolution failed because they wanted almost socialism, but they were free to choose it, I guess. I don't remember. I didn't pay attention in history class to the French. So,
well, the whole thing is, I don't want to see a revolution. I don't want to see another civil war. But I'm like you, man. I just have really bad feeling that that's the road we're going down, man.
Right. Eventually, you just can't let erosion move the mountain in your way. You either have to go over it, around it, through it. And these people have become adversaries, on the other side. So it's not a puzzle we can solve. It's not an obstacle we can go around anymore. They've become adversaries. And unfortunately, in logic, you have to eventually destroy the adversary. So we're getting to that point. But I don't know. That's why I keep saying we need to save our republic. We need to do something. What can we do? And
the biggest thing is we need to get people educated, man. You'll hear me say that over and over and over again.
Yeah.
We need our society to be educated again. Our school system isn't helping. As you know how I feel about the school system. And that's the problem is America, our society is being dumbed down and uneducated to the point where they can be controlled and manipulated by those in charge, if you will, when they're really not in charge. We are in charge. The Constitution says of the people, for the people, by the people.
Right.
Not of the politicians to rule the people by the politicians.
Yes, because that's how it works in a democracy.
Exactly.
Tucker
That's
Carlson,
what they want.
Are you paying attention? You little weasel. I don't know how he can be so smart and so dumb at the same time.
Who's this?
Tucker Carlson.
Oh, yeah.
Because that is exactly how a democracy works.
Well, you got to understand, Mark, the whole push by all the media. Understand that Disney now owns Fox News. And the push is to keep, look, if you tell somebody something enough, they begin to believe it. And if you tell the American people enough that we are a democracy, they will begin to believe that we are a democracy. Take the challenge, go out and ask 10 people this weekend, ask them what form of government we have, and I'd be willing to bet you that 9 out of 10 of those people will tell you that we live in a democracy.
Well, and it all started, in my opinion, very simple, broad brush, but the 17th Amendment, where we lost representation. And when I got my driver's license, I'm legal again today.
Hallelujah.
I showed her, I had my voter registration card because she asked if I wanted to sign up for that when I got my driver's license. And I said, well, it used to be so easy to vote. And she is just kind of like, yeah. And I go, because you only voted every 2 years for a representative. I go, you never voted for senators or presidents. And she looked at me and went, really? So we don't even know how far we've come from great to just abysmal failure in this country. And I don't even think it's our leaders. I think it's the puppet masters, because our politicians are all morons also.
Yeah.
But we put them there and we allowed them to become controlled by the puppet master.
Well, listen, we're going to have to take a puppet master break again.
All right.
We'll be back after this. Don't go away.
Or we'll cut the strings.
Let's talk about tea. Not just any tea, getthetea.com. They have all kinds of cool stuff. They have cleansing teas, they have stuff for eye health, stuff from the sea, immune support, stamina and energy, food and protein, and just all kinds of cool stuff. Log on to the website at www.getthetea.com. Log on now. Alrighty, welcome back. We are in segment 3 of today's program here on KYAH.
That's
5
segment 3.
4. Did I say segment 3?
Yeah, that's why I did that last time. Segment 2.
Segment 3. That's right. Welcome back. And you're listening to KYAH and Contra Radio Network. Hey, do us a favor. Log on to www.contraradionetwork.com and go over there and check out the lineup, as well as maybe give John Jeffers a little donation. A couple bucks a month or something like that. That would sure help him out over there. So,
yep.
Anyway, Mark, man, we've cut through some thin ice. This, I thought I saw somewhere where Trump might be open to some background investigation stuff, and the NRA is a little uptight about it.
Oh, well, yeah. It seems like he's sliding a little bit off of the NRA's. Radar, what side they want them on.
Yeah.
Because, I hear all the talking points on the news. It's like, well, nobody's saying that, background checks is a bad thing. It's like, yeah, actually, it's a big waste of time.
It is.
But so I think Trump is kind of losing ground on some of these things. I don't know if he's just picking different battles.
I don't know, but.
Or what?
I don't know, man. Got to be careful. What I don't know, because we don't have another pony to run through the show. So,
well,
the dog and pony show.
Yeah, that
we don't have another pony to run through that dog show.
No, we don't. And Trump is still our best bet for winning in 2020, unless he goes off the planet and comes up with just some silly nonsense. Then I wouldn't care who won, because it's time to start freaking out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't understand it. I mean, this is a great example of, like you said, the country is by the people, for the people. We the people run the show. And now here we are worried about federal laws and background checks, when in all honesty, if you had a good sheriff, none of it would matter. And you could just sit there and go, well, I don't really care if they say blonde hair, blue eyes is illegal. I'm fine, because my sheriff isn't going to enforce that law, and my state isn't stupid. And if my state's stupid, my county's not. And then really it comes right back to you and me. I'm going to refuse it. And Mac Prince versus the U.S. Constitution sued the Clinton administration over these background checks and won.
Right.
So they don't have to. Sheriffs do not have to run background checks if they don't want to.
Right.
They don't have to follow federal law. They don't have to be called into service by federal government.
No, they're a state official.
Right. That's why I do have a problem, thinking that our sheriff still has this mistress in Washington, D.C., Homeland Security, and he kind of works for him, maybe for training or whatever, but your job is here. Don't be flirting with the girl in Washington. Stay here and do your job. Yeah.
Well, the sheriff is the ultimate law in the county. There's no doubt about that. And by the way, federal what's the word I want to say? Federal law does not trump state law.
No, and that's what was it? Justice Scalia told Sheriff Mack after the case, he's like, you never had to even come here and sue the government because you don't have to follow federal law, and they can't call you into service and ask you to run background checks.
Right.
You know, if they want to do it, send in their agents to do it, and then you can quickly arrest them and throw them back out.
Exactly.
So it shouldn't matter, but because sheriffs, I'm going to say 80% of them are so weak in constitutional training, and mayors and counties are just so falling apart that you're really fighting an uphill battle with nobody having your back, is what happens.
That's right.
And so when you really look at it that way, maybe it is time for a revolution. Not calling for one, because God forbid, but eventually you have to stand up.
Oil called for a revolution.
Yeah. I'm just saying we need to wake up and realize that the chain of command is so broken.
Yes,
that when it gets down to we the people that are the last voice to say no, you're screaming into the wind of a federal bureaucracy, a state bureaucracy, law enforcement, all that. And I had a guy that used to work for ICE and DES. You know, he said when people would say, hey, I have rights, he'd just go, well, tough luck, and cuff them and arrest them anyway. So what good does it do you when the one person in your county that could possibly help you is on the other side of the fence also?
Yeah.
So really, we have gotten to a point to where we really have no other option than to just go, enough. And then it's, then we're back to square one. We're rewriting constitutional law. We're killing the king in Washington, D.C. there, and
it just starts over again.
Yeah. And unfortunately, the outcome will not be the same this time, because I don't think we have, and everybody in Washington, if you put all their IQs and their wisdom together, wouldn't hold a candle to Jefferson or Adams or even George Washington on a drunk hungover day. They were smarter and better. So we really have run out of options, other than.
Well, I mean, we've got people that are being elected that they don't even know what form of government we have in the country. We've got people that are being elected that don't even understand when the president says, oh, well, you come from the most corrupt countries in the world, but why don't you go back and fix your own government and then tell us to come back and come tell us how to do ours, and they misstrew that to say that he told them to go back to their own country.
Right. Well, and I was talking to a gal in Sierra Vista one time. She was born in Mexico, married a soldier, so she had naturalized or whatever, became a citizen, the legal way. And, she said, well, I don't know why everybody gets so mad in America, because this used to be our land. And I go, yeah, it was until we bought it from you. And I go, take it up with your leaders 100 years ago, or whenever the Treaty of Guadalupe was signed, after you surrendered, because it was your leaders that stole your land. And in the middle of that sentence, I'm thinking, holy crap, we're in the same boat.
Yeah.
Our government is stealing our land, and we are slowly following the footsteps of how Mexico lost their freedom, their liberty, their independence, their property, their fortune, everything.
Yeah.
We're this close to it.
Yeah. We're following right in those tracks, man.
And since this is radio, I'll just say, that's maybe my finger and thumb are together. We're that close.
Not even an inch.
No, we're that close to total. I can't call it collapse, because people will just continue to blithely run down this road to socialism. But we're that close to having to do something about it or lose it.
Yeah.
And all them freedoms and all that happy flag waving and 4th of July will just be a show, a scam.
Well, it probably won't even exist.
Yeah.
Because they'll take that away too.
So eventually you have to maybe not rise up and get into battle, but you have to wake up at least here that, when you really analyze it, every avenue to us has been taken away. And so when do you just go, okay, it's time to be proactive?
Well, it just, I don't get it, Mark, how they can just be so blind like sheep. I mean, it's like the blind, three blind mice, running around, scampering, and they have no idea where they're going, what direction they're going in. And it's just, they're in a tailspin, and somehow or another, they want us to believe that this is organization and that it's completely controlled and it's going to work. Somehow we're trying to be conditioned that complete, total chaos is perfectly acceptable and going to be a perfect system that is going to benefit everyone, and these people are falling for it.
Yeah. Well, there were some German people that had escaped, during Nazi Germany and all that. And even they said when it first started, you had the SS that wasn't that powerful. So you had the brown shirts and all that, storming apartments and kidnapping Jews and terrorizing people. And he goes, there were enough of us in that building that we could have stopped it, but we didn't. And so we're at that point where the boots are running up the steps.
That's where we're at, buddy. You're exactly right, man. You're exactly right.
And I don't know how to, tell people, wake up and do something besides thinking that striking the anvil every 4 years is going to change the malleability of the metal is ridiculous.
All it's doing is kicking the can down the road.
Yeah. So eventually, without saying we need to do something drastic, we need to do something drastic because we're maybe one election away from losing, not the country, not the Constitution, all those silly pie in the sky, words. You're about to lose your freedom to be an American.
Yeah.
You won't be able to own property. You won't be able to do things. And if they do it slow enough, like raising the water, we'll never notice. But your kids will grow up going, thanks, Mom, Dad,
Yeah.
Because it's happening on all fronts now. It's not just Social Security, 75 years ago where our parents should have been paying attention and went, that's BS. You can't do that.
Right.
Now it's everything. It's healthcare, it's welfare, it's taxation, it's
the whole
private
kit and
property.
caboodle, man.
Yeah,
everything is on the line.
Yeah, and no matter what you look at in your life, whether it's your job, your right to make money, keep your money to buy a house, to buy a TV, to buy a car, everything is on the line. They're starting to tell you, no, they tell you can't even have certain kind of light bulb in your house.
Right.
How much water your toilet's going to use when you flush.
Yeah, let's talk about that when we come back from the break. That's a good segue into the break, and we will bring it back up when we come back. Folks, stick around. There's more to come after this. Don't go away.
Shout
Alrighty, final segment today, segment numero 4. We are on tap, 3 of them in the can. And before we hit the break, Mark brought up the light bulbs and the toilet flushing and all this other stuff. Good. Oh, man. Look, we've got the compact fluorescent light bulbs. The compact fluorescent light bulbs are supposed to be wonderful for the environment. They cost more to produce than a standard light bulb. They cost more to get rid of than a standard light bulb. And if you break one, have you ever read the back label on on the box for a compact fluorescent light bulb?
You need to call in a hazmat team.
You
almost.
need to do not sweep, do not disturb.
Yeah, it's gotten insanely stupid with those things.
And so, they tell us that it's better for the environment, but heaven forbid if you break one.
Yeah, right. And then, I'm all for saving money, because it's green. So I guess I'm green, It's just,
Well, I mean, all right.
So I like LEDs. They come on quick. They're more expensive, but they're cheaper to burn. They reduce my energy bill, which saves me more green.
Right.
But that's just one aspect of control in your life as an American. Right. And you would think you'd just go, what? My light bulb?
Yeah.
My toilet?
Yeah, and that's the other thing. So look, the Earth, planet Earth, is a sphere. Now we're gonna probably another top.
So what you're telling me is it's not flat.
That's what I'm telling you. Because if it was flat, the cats would have pushed everything off a long time ago.
Yeah, no kidding.
But beyond that, it's 3/4 of the Earth's surface is covered by water.
Yeah.
Yet they want you to think that we have a water shortage.
Yeah. Another stupid concept.
And there was one of the governors over there in California. I don't remember his name, but they asked him. They said, why are you so worried about water? You have the ocean right there on your coast. Well, we don't want to desalinate because we don't want to put more salt back in the ocean. I'm like, what? Really, man? Look, the only people that are telling you there's a water shortage are those who want to control it so they can monopolize on it and make money with it.
Right, because wars have been fought over water. It is a resource that
Mark,
people have.
You're going to tell me that a planet that 3/4 of the planet's surface is covered with water and we have a water shortage?
Right. Well, and
the other thing too is it's all still here. None of it's gone anywhere.
Right. We have as much water as Adam and Eve had in the Garden of Eden. I mean,
it's not like the Earth is like a dog that just got out of a bath and is shaking all the water off out into outer space. It's all still here. It hasn't gone anywhere.
It fell off the edges because the cats didn't.
The cats pushed it off.
Yeah. My 2-year-old
cats don't like water,
Right. So that's water. It. They broke the levee, so it all fell off the edge.
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to convince me. You are not going to convince me that, as much water as there is on this planet, that we have a water crisis, a water shortage crisis.
Well, see, you make a good point with these environmental things like light bulbs and water. They all sound good, and then our politicians rush to regulate, and then we lose freedoms. It's like driving used to be a right, and then they, we'll make it a privilege, and they're going to do it with guns. Enough people get a CCW, you voted. They can arbitrarily come in and say, well, based on legal law, enough people agreed with this. That's like a vote, and now owning a gun is a privilege, no longer a right. And so it's all these feel-good maneuvers that we Americans are just so damn busy paying the rent that we don't pay attention to. And
Yeah.
so it's not just light bulbs, it's not just toilets, it's guns, it's cars, it's driving, it's how you work. As a business owner, I mean, Gino's sandwich shop in New York could never open today the way he opened years ago when he opened. Too much regulation.
Sure.
So that's why I say, no matter what you look at in your life, we have been sold a bill of goods, and it's now regulated, and we have lost more freedom.
So I had a gentleman one time told me, we were talking about 5G, the new 5G that's coming up. The gentleman, there's the fear of, the health hazards and all with 5G. And the gentleman told me, he said, well, that's why the government is there, to make sure that I'm safe and to make sure that I'm thinking, dude, you're a fool.
Yeah.
You're a fool.
You not only fell off the turnip truck, you fell off just like 10 minutes ago.
You're a fool. The
Yeah.
government is going to protect me from the health hazards from 5G because they're going to research it and they're going to tell me if it's bad or not.
Yeah, just like food
Moron.
inspectors keep an eye on food so closely that we have salmonella outbreaks yearly.
Yeah.
And 5G is terrible for you. I mean, the way it works literally sets your cells into crazy mode.
Yeah.
So it's not like it's bad because it's just so cool that we
But
we don't.
Mark, the government is going to assure us that everything is fine and we're going to be safe. And you just keep on drinking that Kool-Aid, buddy.
Yeah, with fluoride in it.
Oh, yeah. Ever read your toothpaste box?
Yeah.
Do not swallow more than an accidental mouthful or something like that. And they're pumping this crap into our water, man.
Yeah. China sells it because it's toxic, and they won't even allow it to be stored in their country, and that's China. And then so they go, oh, here's a sucker over here. They're actually putting it in their water, But then you let's just look at the FDA. I mean, the food pyramid, which was based on when we were at war, yes, it's cheaper to feed people grains when you're at war. But now they've known for 100 years that carbohydrates causes all these problems that we are dealing with today. And yet the government, is it keeping you safe by telling doctors you cannot, prescribe anything but a high carb diet? So they don't care, because and maybe there's a few people out there that care, but there's just way too much money in every aspect of yours and my life. Big pharma, big agra, big media, all these lobbyists.
Big government,
big business. Yeah. So, if you think the government is going to be protecting us from anything, well, you're just kind of an idiot. I guess that's the only way to put it.
Yeah. That's kind of what I said. Pissed him off. He was like, well, I never. And I said, well, you may never again, too.
You never what? Cracked open a book? Googled something? You dumbass.
Oh, man.
Well, it's going back to our point that we are on a razor's edge here and about ready to fall off or get sliced in half. All these things we talk about, when you really put your finger on it and open it up and inspect it, it's the government trying to screw us. So don't think that when the time comes that everything blows apart and the crap hits the fan, that there's going to be some kind of awesome saving grace from the government. It's not like the movie Armageddon or Deep Impact. They won't save anything but their own hides.
Yeah.
And so that's why I'm a prepper to this day after 40 plus years. It's just like, those clowns in Washington are going to screw it up, and I better be ready.
They are going to screw it up. They already are screwing it up.
It's kind of already screwed up. I mean, you got
big pharma out there putting out these drugs that haven't been long-term tested. And then, doctors are prescribing this stuff, pumping it into people. and they miss a dose, they shoot up a school, whatever, man, we're well on our way, brother.
And then look at our schools, because that's our favorite subject to bash. What are they teaching our kids? Anything that has anything to do with freedom or liberty and how to keep America a republic
is gone.
Yeah. So there's a big aspect of our lives. Our jobs are in jeopardy, no matter what you do. Our economy is in the tank. I mean, it's doing good because everything feels great when you're in free fall. Our school systems are a disaster. We have no representation. And people go, oh, you really think we're that close to a revolution? It's like, well, we're that close to the engine seizing up and just stop working. And that will cause something,
Yeah.
Call it revolution, call it just a bunch of pissed off people shooting and tarring and feathering. I don't really care.
Yeah.
But and unfortunately the thin blue line has not picked a side that they want to stand on. Sheriffs can't seem to man up and actually read their oath and go, what does that word mean?
Yeah.
And so we are really on the outside of a water balloon that's ready to burst over our head.
It's about to, man. It's about to.
Yeah. I don't know how to wrap this show up other than.
Well, I know how to wrap it up. We need to wrap it up because we're out of time.
It's just like that, right? Wrap it up.
The bottom line is, people, get yourself educated, man. Get yourself educated. Don't drink the Kool-Aid. Don't think the government's going to be there to save you when doo-doo hits the fan, because they're going to be the ones instigating it.
Right. You know what? I will wrap it up with, I hate to shamelessly plug people, but Shelby Gallagher, Prepping 2.0, her book, The Great State, really goes down some rabbit holes with this state dependency with single mothers and stuff, and just shows you how all of these little mechanisms that are to help us are literally designed to enslave us. Read those books. You'll like it. And I don't even
get them where? Where can they get them? ContraRadioNetwork.com?
I think her books on there. And then Prepping 2.0, which is still part of the Contra Radio Network.
So, yeah.
Family.
Get over there. ContraRadioNetwork.com.
.com. And where are we? ContraRadioNetwork.podbeam.com, right? Is that where all the podcasts are at?
That's where the podcasts are at. Of course, there's twocrazyguys.com with a K.
Yep.
And there's redstateunderground.com.
Red State. Is it Red? No, what is Underground Talk Show?
Undergroundtalkshow.com. No, undergroundtalkshow.com. That is my podcast. So
and then where's the Podbeam one?
That goes to that. It's self-hosted. So all of the podcasts are on undergroundtalkshow.com.
See, I can't figure that stuff out. But I can figure out that it's prepperguy.podbeam.com for all my podcasts.
Yeah.
So,
all right, folks. We're going to get out of here, or Michael is going to kick us out. So, all right. Y'all have a good one. Till next week. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll talk to you next time.
Love you all. Talk to you later.
Thanks for tuning in. Catch them next time as they dig into the issues. The Two Crazy Guys. Log on to the website at www.contraradionetwork.com.